Just going live. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I'm just going to let a few people jump on. I've got some big news tonight, and I'm super excited about it, to be fair. It's not like I have big news all the time, but this is big news that's genuinely going to help a hell of a lot of people out there. So I want to make sure that I really wait for a few people to jump on. If you're jumping on for the first time, I'm Jimmy from My Online Guide Digital Marketing Agency. We do a lot of social media marketing. We don't do as much as we used to, but we do a lot of SEO, Google Ads, all that jazz. Social is anything. Welcome, mate. Thank you for jumping on. We just wait for a couple of people to jump on. The main reason I do these videos is if you have any burning marketing questions that you want to ask me, make sure to leave them in the comments, whether you're watching on TikTok, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on any channel. If you leave it in the comments, I will see it and I will do my best to answer them. And a lot of people will do that as we go. So just before I go, just talk about the week. It's been a busy week here at My Online Guy, wheeling and dealing. And that's a little precursor to what's actually happening with what's happening and the news I've got. Been doing a bit of wheeling and dealing and managed to tee myself up a pretty good deal. And I want to share that with everyone in the audience. So besides that, just, day-to-day life of running an agency, really just grinding away, working on our sales processes and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, if you're joining in, make sure to leave in the comments, make sure to leave a question and I'll do my best to answer them. So for context, we've got a marketing agency, been doing it for a few years now, almost 4 years. I have a bit I can share with people if they'd like the answers. So let's just get straight into it. Might as well start with the news. There's a couple of people on now. So if someone comes in and wants me to talk about the news, I'll do that. But some big news that's popped up in the last couple of days is I've sealed a deal. I've sealed a deal for an online business, and I can share the name of it own. And now it's called rvbuyersguide.com.au. And the main reason I bought this is I personally see a huge amount of potential in the business. But the main reason I bought it is I actually want to use this as a true real life test case for people. So this business was owned by someone who, basically just started it with an interest, but has never really developed and grown it. And I bought it off him for a steal. And I'm going to grow it. That's what I'm going to do with it. And I thought this platform and me growing this new online business, RV Buyer's Guide, which is basically a directory for people trying to buy caravans and things like that. That's what it does. I thought, why not document and YouTube the journey of growing an asset from, buying a digital asset and growing it in real life, something that I've personally paid for, that I have skin in the game, that I really want to work. I feel like there's not enough content out there on how to do this stuff from a practical perspective. I keep getting asked about service delivery when I talk to people, that want to learn how to do marketing. And I thought, what better way of doing that than if I just show people how I would grow something that I own. Again, there's not a lot of content out there that exists that shows the start to the finish of this stuff. So I plan on tomorrow creating a video. It's going to be the first video I create. And I'm going to go through the reasons I bought it, what I looked for, how I came to the decision on how much to pay for it, and why I bought it. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit of a rough plan of attack for initially grow it. Because the thing is, this is a big myth about the SMMA and the marketing space, especially. So if someone's watching that's got a marketing agency, you'll learn this at some point. There's very few exits when you've got a marketing agency. It's a really good cash flow business. It generates huge amounts of cash flow. But when it comes to an exit and selling to someone else, they're notoriously hard businesses to sell to other people. And the reason for that is that when you have a business that's reliant on clients and clients retaining month in, month out, it's actually quite risky for another business to buy that. Because there's always a good chance that those clients may disappear on the next person. And a lot of times when you build a service-based business like an agency, it requires a lot of you in the business, which is hard to replace someone buying it. So they actually reckon the best way to get to make your wealth in the social media marketing space or in the marketing space in general is to use the internal tools that you built when you run an agency to develop other projects. So I can develop a project. So I bought this RV Buyer's Guide, And what would cost someone $10,000 to do might cost me internally $1,000 to do, because I have the internal resources to develop projects. So that's where that really comes in handy. And it's a subtle thing, but you talk to anyone that's had an agency, an SMA agency or a marketing agency for a long time, and they'll tell you the same thing. And you really need to, when you start any business, doesn't matter if it's an SMMA or an affiliate marketing agency, or even just a local plumbing store, you need to have the exit in mind. And you need to, because you don't make your money and you don't make your 20, 30x when you're growing the business. Like, you're going to make good money as you're doing it, but you're not going to go from zero to $1 million a year, or get like $10 million or 15, $20 million. You get that on exit. You get that when you sell a business, or it gets bought, or it gets goes public, right? Like you have an exit, that's when you get the big multiples. And with the agency space, you might get a 1 times yearly revenue on a multiple, because it's so risky. So me buying this RV buyer's guide and the other projects that I have is my way of building projects that have a potential for an exit. Because if I build out this RV buyer's guide and it does really well and it starts generating huge amounts of revenue, I can get like a 30 times, so like a 3 times yearly, 5 times, 7 times yearly revenue on that business, because it's quite a lot more turnkey than the agency itself, because it's not a service-based business, it's effectively a marketplace. So I've always gone into the marketing space going, okay, well, how do I actually get the exit, go from get the 20x exit, get the 30x exit? It's not going to be with the agency. The agency just becomes the workshop to build those assets out. And I started the agency from the start like that. I was like, I'm going to build an awesome team. I'm going to build the resources and the ability to then go and buy something like this RV buyer's guide, and then have all the internal resources to be able to grow it quick. And that's what we've done. So anyone that's just tuned in, what I'm talking about here in the big news is that I bought a online business, and I bought it specifically. Obviously, I want to make money from it, but I bought it specifically to create it into a series of videos that will show the progress and the journey of how you take something that, take an online asset and grow it for a sale. Because that's my intention with this business: is I'm going to buy it, I'm going to take it, I'm going to sell it. That's the idea. Flipping online businesses is a really good way to make money, and I enjoy the space. So yeah, it was undervalued. I seen it, picked it up, and I thought this might be a good opportunity. I was just going to keep it to myself and not tell anyone, but I thought, actually, what a good way to teach people and provide value to people if I just document that journey of like going, okay, well, I bought this online asset. It's got a whole bunch of problems. Okay, well, how does a professional marketer go from having something that's not worth a lot to building it into something that's worth a lot that they can sell? Because when you're working with clients, that's all you're trying to do for them, is you're taking something that's not worth as much and you're adding value to it. And so you can increase its value, or you can get it more leads, or you can get the business more followers, whatever your goals are. That's all you do in the SMMA marketing space anyway. So I just thought that it would be a good opportunity to show people how you go about doing that. But enough about that. Let's get into some questions. So we've got a couple of questions here. I'm just going to flick through a few that I found in my week and I got asked, and then I'll go back to the questions that you guys have. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the chat. I'll answer them as we go. Very sincere in the fact that I just want to help other people. I've done pretty well out of the space, and this is my way. This weekly 1 hour is my way of giving back to the community. So if you have any burning SMMA questions, business questions, just leave them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. So one question that I got asked the other day is about service delivery and knowing what service to offer to what client. So what I mean by that is, I had a person ask me going, "Oh, Jimmy, do I need to learn how to do? Do I need to learn how to do? Do I need to learn how to do Google Ads? Do I need to learn how to do Facebook ads? Do I need to learn how to do this? And how do I know what to do for what client?" And it's a great question, because I see this all the time. Someone will go, "Oh, you're a real estate agent? Yeah, just do Google ads. You get it." It's like, no. There's certain channels work better for certain industries and certain niches. And the best way to determine that is if you split a line down the middle and you have intent driven based businesses that from a customer acquisition perspective, intent driven versus impression driven and referral driven. So an example of an intent driven consumer is a plumber, right? Most people, when they need a plumber, Google plumber, Google plumber near me, Google broken taps. So Facebook ads don't work as well for that audience because it's very intent driven. When the tap's broken, that's when they start looking. And when they start looking, they generally just Google it. So Google ads work amazingly well for that. Facebook ads don't work as well for that. Now, example of an impression slash referral example of a business is something like real estate agent, right? And why that's the case is, Google ads can work okay for Google for real estate agents, but the best way to get a real estate agent clients is you use impression-based stuff. So a lot of the times when someone's looking for a real estate agent, they just go and ask their friends. They go and ask Facebook groups. They go and ask family, right? They want referrals for this because the stuff that decides whether a real estate agent or a mortgage broker is good is intangible stuff because they all do the same thing, but it's intangible. Are they nice? Do they leave you a little gift when they're done with you? All that stuff's intangible. So people ask other people about that stuff. And the best way to target them is to get in that pattern and interrupt it. So, if you happen to get a Facebook ad when they're in the Facebook looking for Facebook groups to post this stuff, then you interrupt that pattern, remarket them. Eventually, you have a lot better chance of converting them. So that was a question I got asked earlier this week was, how do you know what platform to use for what channel? TikTok, I'm still learning. So like TikTok definitely has a place in this. I'm just not 100% sure where that place is yet. So TikTok, you're watching, some of you, 3 people, you're watching this on TikTok right now. Hey, say hello if you're watching because it's, it's pretty lonely. But I've made a big push into TikTok. Friend of mine, Social as Anything, gave me that push and I've been running with the ball. Now, I don't know necessarily how I'm going to monetize that or how that's going to come to fruition or whether I can even make money with TikTok, but I will find a way and I will find the right audience for that. I think if you had a fast moving consumer good, or a product that fits a younger demographic, then TikTok's probably the place to be. I can't see it working that well at the moment for a plumber, say for instance. Because it's not intent driven. There's no one on TikTok typing in plumber. So it's not intent driven. So the people that are watching this are basically impression based. So a real estate agent might work really well on TikTok. If a real estate's really keen for it, that might work as well. So Jimmy, thanks for tuning in, mate. Good to see you. TikTok for viral promotion products on ecom. Yeah, I bet it would work really well with that. I'd imagine it would work as well as Facebook did, say, 5-7 years ago when it came to just Wish. So the amount of people, so Jimmy on the YouTube, Facebook has said, the amount of people I've watched doing before and afters mowing lawns at TikTok is crazy. My question is, Jimmy, does that lead them to getting business? Jay on TikTok, what's up, mate? Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions, let me know. Jimmy, do you reckon that actually leads them to getting business though? Because I know, like I work with the gyms group and one of their pool companies has a video with 46 million views. And I don't know if it leads to business. It's so localized. But I think for viral products, I think it worked really well. And this is where, see, people don't realize like 7-8 years ago, you remember that phase we all went through where all you could see was Wish? You'd go on Facebook and all you'd see is Wish. Those kinds of Wish-based products with a user-generated content would work really well on a TikTok is what I think. So Jimmy, it's hard because they have such a wide audience, but they need to attract locally. Yeah, it is. You could, if there was there is a way, but if there was a more clearly defined way of getting those people to land on the website, directly from those views, so you could target them, maybe. But yeah, it's a bit hard. So Social as Anything. Manuel, thanks for jumping in, mate. I'll answer your question in a second. I'm just going to go back to TikTok for a sec. So Social as Anything. Do people do the before and afters? So the so the people do the before and after, so it drives traffic to their YouTube videos and therefore helps. Yeah, but I was doing research on this. The click-through rate from a from a TikTok video to YouTube is significantly lower than the other way around. So it's like in the point like 0.1%. So like if you had a 1 million view video, you might only get a couple of hundred people go from that to a call to action of some sort. So yeah, but there will be ways. I think TikTok, the reason I'm putting so much effort into TikTok, because yes, right now there's not really any clear direct channels, but I feel like there will be. I feel like it's a matter of time before some smart person, smarter than all of us, works out a way of really monetizing that for a service-based business. Once they do that, then then I'll be all up on that, because I'll have a bit of a channel, a bit of an audience, a bit of a platform. So yeah, looking forward to that. So Emmanuel Velasco, thanks for tuning in, coming in through the YouTube channel. So if you're on the YouTube channel, make sure to leave a comment. So Emmanuel has a question. In regards to your service delivery question you just answered, would you recommend a device that home remodelers would need? I would assume that falls under intent, but a counter argument could also be referrals, impressions. Yeah. So okay, I get what you mean. So what you're asking there is like for a home remodelers, would that be based around using Google Ads, because it's a intent-driven business? Now, one thing about marketing people don't realize is that eventually a business will use all channels. So it's not a black and white thing. It's like if it's a home remodeler, they're never going to do Facebook ads. And if it's a lawyer, a real estate agent, they're never going to use Google ads. That's not necessarily what it's about. It's more like, of all the channels that someone could possibly have as a business, you can only prioritize the ones that make the most sense at the start, and then you can sort of work towards those as your business matures. So, if a home remodeler, right, what you talk about where they have the best chance of getting leads, it's probably on Google, but they may, as that lead source flourishes and matures, they may need more leads. So then you're going to have to start tacking on other channels, because you'll just run out of people on Google. So it may be something as simple as retargeting with Facebook ads, retargeting people that land on the site and retargeting with Facebook ads, maybe not running ads specifically for those customers, but running retargeting ads, and vice versa. You may have Facebook ads that just get heaps of impressions that drive to the site, and then you retarget with Google. It's not necessarily that it's as black and white as going, okay, well, if you are a plumber, you don't do Facebook ads. It's not as black and white as that, but it's more like in the 15 years you're in business or 10 years you're in business, what channels are you going to do first, and what are you going to stack onto that? Because by year 15, you probably would have done all the channels. And that's why you see a lot more mature businesses doing things like TikTok, because they have all the other channels explored and nutted out, and they're just moving on to those next channels. So yeah, it's not as black and white as doing not doing Facebook ads. I would just suggest that from an intent-driven standpoint and getting a direct ROI for a customer, Google Ads works really well. It's a little bit more gray when it comes to Facebook and impression-based stuff, Instagram. Socials, anything asked on TikTok? When am I going to start dancing? Never. I said to everyone at the start, I didn't start a TikTok channel to start dancing. I have had moments where I go, I could do that dance, but no, you're never going to see me dancing on TikTok. That's not my jam. The world is not ready for me dancing on TikTok. Let's put it that way. So maybe if I get a big exit with RV Buyers Guide potentially, but yeah. So that's funny you asked that, because the other day a video came up and I was like, oh, that dance, I could do that dance. Like, it's not that hard. And I think it'd be funny if an older, guy in his 30s was doing it. But I was like, nah, principles. You got to stick to the heart. So yeah, I didn't end up doing it. But yeah, good question though, guys. Emmanuel, good question. Jimmy, any other inputs you want to add? So Jimmy Daglish is a Facebook ads guru, e-com, and the guy I go to if I have those kind of questions. So yeah, if there's any more inputs, please leave them in there. anyone that's watching, if you've got any questions, just let me know in the chat and I'll answer them as we go. So I'm going to look for some more questions here. I want to talk about Chat GPT quickly. It's all the rage at the moment. Everyone's using it. Is it being exploited? Yes. Who cares though? But I'm seeing a lot of misinformation about how it's supposed to be used. And I'm starting to see a bit of whispers about Google being able to identify it. So I said this from the very start, and I've been using ChatGPT. I've been using GPT for about 18 months now. Before ChatGPT, there was GPT 3.0, and before that was there was GPT 2.0. This stuff, it amplifies whatever you put into it. So if you aren't good at copywriting, or you're not very good at writing, it's just going to amplify that. It's an extension. It's a very, very good extension, and it's a very, very good cyborg implement to the human body. You know, I can see AI being a very, very significant part of human culture in 5 to 7 years, but it's an in versus out tool at the end of the day. So it's not there to wholesale replace the requirement of a human being and creativity. It's not there yet. It's close, but it's not there yet. It's there for helping with ideation. It's there for helping with inspiration. It's there for helping with, writer's block. It's there for helping maybe with creative ideas that you didn't think of. But very rarely, anyone that's worth their salt and who's charging for a service, very rarely can you take an output from ChatGPT and give it to a client and say that we're good to go. There's always a requirement to just slightly modify it or tweak it, because when you're talking about this stuff in theory and what it can and can't do, yeah, it's awesome. Like the tools are sick. Like, don't get me wrong, ChatGPT is awesome and it's made my job significantly easier, but it's still not a replacement for me going and reading the content and going, actually, that doesn't sound 100% right based on my experience in copywriting. That this needs to say this. And those little 1%ers are where you get the premium. And I see a lot of videos right now going around the internet going, start a copywriting agency and do copywriting and just use ChatGPT. Good luck getting someone to pay you a significant amount of money to write for them if you're just using the outputs of ChatGPT without any creative flow added to it. There is a lot more to copywriting than just words. This is what people don't understand. Is way more to copywriting than there is words, and people are willing to pay a premium for that. So we got a mate, Jimmy knows him as well, Will Wang, one of the best copywriters in this country, and he charges a ludicrous amount for his copywriting. And no ChatGPT is going to be able to creatively think and laterally think about a campaign that as well as he can. And yeah, he may use ChatGPT to help get outputs, but it's his inputs that make it so valuable. His inputs as a copywriter are what make it so much more valuable, because the wording that he's using, the way he's driving, say, a tool like ChatGPT is so much different to how someone like you and I would input. And, the inputs for AI is almost as important as the outputs. What you say to the inputs you give it determine what it gives you out. So I made a quick video on this when I was, just exploring it and helping people out. And I mentioned that as like, subtle things like adding comedic tone or clickbaity title or things like that make a big difference. It completely changes the output. And that knowing the tone and knowing the voice and knowing how it needs to read, it comes from having an experience in sales and copywriting. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you're wanting to use ChatGPT and start an agency based around copy. Don't get me wrong, I think there's demand for it. But I also think if you want to make the big bucks and sit on the beach and drink pina coladas doing 4 hours a week, you need to be good at copywriting as well, not just good at driving ChatGPT. So that's my opinion on that. Everyone's opinions differ, but that's mine. So interesting enough and seeing a lot about that. I had a question the other day that I'm going to lead on with. A question about email marketing and whether I think it still has value. Email marketing is super effective if it's done properly, of course, but email marketing is probably the thing that most businesses need that don't realize they need it. Again, it's one of those things. Oh, Glenn, how are you, buddy? From Ireland, all the way in Ireland, another gun marketer. Hopefully the weather's treating you well over there and not getting frozen over. Email marketing is grossly underserviced part of the SMMA, the marketing space in general. Businesses can get such a good ROI from emails, especially older businesses that have decent lists of people. You give them in the hands of someone like Jimmy, or you give them in the hands of someone like Dan Nikas, and you give them an email list, they'll make many, many more multiples than someone would make with Facebook ads. There's very, very few people out there that can leave an email in their inbox if it has a compelling enough subject line. Like if it's like, Jimmy, you need to open this, it's very hard not to open that. And you can't say the same for Facebook ads. You can't say the same for Google because they're saturated. But SMS, email marketing, all these older platforms that are now coming to vogue, something that's I've seen a lot that's getting a bit of resurgence too is like things like letter drops and stuff. Because everyone moved digital, people aren't getting as much mail anymore. So when they see a letter in their mailbox, they're generally going to open it and have a read. And I've got a client that makes a huge amount of money from mail drops. And you would think, oh, there's not much to that. But actually, sometimes the tried and proven methods are sometimes the best methods to do. And he's saying to me that the reason he thinks they're working is just because no one does it anymore. It used to be like all the way you did marketing before the internet. Email drops, flyers, things like that. But the internet came along and go, oh, well, Facebook ads, Google ads, and stuff like that. I actually think if someone wanted to start an agency, one of the best places that could be a good place to gain traction if you're starting new is to offer mail drop services. Use a email forwarder, a service that does it, and just resell their services, because you can get a pretty good ROI. And where 21st century comes in is being able to track and measure the open rates of the, or like the view rates of this stuff. So, before, if you gave someone a flyer, dropped in their mailbox, you couldn't track it in any way. It was like, you hope they called, maybe change the number on it, but it was expensive to do. Now you can have QR codes. Now you can track by different call tracking numbers. Now you can use different email addresses, and you can send them to different websites. You can actually comfortably track the call rates and everything of a flyer to determine if it's success or failure. It's like radio, right? I have a lot of businesses I work with and they use radio. And I'm like, guys, they're telling you how many people it's reaching. All you have to do is go and buy a call tracking number and change the number you use. And that might make it a massive difference to your ROI. To your analytics and measurement, and whether you pour the money into that, because then you would know if it's working or not. So I think all these old channels, they have legs, and they're definitely worth exploring. But yeah, guys, there hasn't been many questions tonight. So obviously everyone's a little bit done with the weekly lives, but that's okay. What I might do is I might finish up now, and then I might give it a couple of weeks and come back and just let everyone come up with a few questions, ideas. It's been a big week for me. Obviously, I purchased this business, and I've got to work through that. But yeah, keep an eye out. Like I said, the big news was I bought this online business called RV Buyer's Guide, going to pour some fuel on that fire, and I'm going to document and record how that works, and the journey, because everyone sees the end results, everyone sees the start, but no one's willing to show what happens in the middle. And I want to change that. So I'm going to show everyone, I put my own skin in the game. This website wasn't cheap. This business wasn't cheap. It's good. It's generating revenue. So it's generating about $1,100 a month, which is really good. So I'm off to a good start. I just need to turn that into more. Glenn, congrats on the purchase. You'll smash it. Yeah, look, I hope so. I know the space. I know the path. Like when I bought it, I specifically looked about going, can I add value to this? Because the way I'm going to get an ROI is being able to add value at a cheaper price than someone that was to do this retail. And I definitely can do that. And I look, it's a project, right? Like I enjoy marketing. I live and breathe it, and I really do enjoy it. And being able to go and do this is really exciting, to give everyone an insight into actually, this is how you can make wealth. If you go and buy a website, add a heap of value to it, and sell it for 10 times what you paid for it, that is another channel to make wealth. It's not just affiliate marketing. It's not just Google ads. It's not that there's so many ways to make money. eBay reselling. There's several people in my friends list that make 20, 30 grand a year doing eBay reselling. It's another channel. I just want to create opportunities out there for people to see that there's other ways to make money. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to leave this one here, and I'll